Hey, all right. You're listening to the Deadman's Tome podcast, a show brought to you in part by Fuck It All. Fuck It All.
Fuck It All.
Fuck It All. Fuck It All.
Ask your doctor if Fuck It All is right for you.
Right. Because let me ask you something. Are you feeling depressed? Are you feeling overworked? You're tired of having to give a shit? Guess what? It sounds like you need some Fuck It All. And trust me, okay, let me tell you something. This product is loaded with all sorts of compounds that we cannot say in this ad for, well, not just because I can't pronounce them, but because of, well, my attorney's looking at me telling me we can't say it. But it works. Trust me. I love it too well. Anyway, but the other sponsor here is Deadman's Tome Patron. Look, if you want to become a patron, all you have to go to the patreon.com/Deadman's Tome, and when you do so, you get access to the bonus episodes, like watching me eat bull balls, watching me eat disgusting jelly beans that almost made me vomit. Actually, I did vomit. The bull balls
episode was epic.
That was a good episode. Shit. But tonight.
Yeah.
Tonight we're talking about the classic rom-com House of Wax 1953, the first romantic comedy to use 3D stereo vision in theaters. Look at that.
And it's natural.
Yes.
3D. None of that artificial shit.
It's a story about a man that loves women so much he wants to take them home and make wax molds out of them.
He can't. I mean, he was ahead of his time. This was a groundbreaking. I mean, consider the context. We'd seen the Don Juans and the various romantic archetypes, but my God, this guy, he's got game like nobody's business.
Oh, not only does he have game like nobody's business, but he actually has a business before its time. You're right. He's literally creating sex dolls. He's taking the women home with him, making wax molds out of everything. And I mean everything.
Every little thing.
Yeah. And there's one part of the movie where he can actually make a move. He makes something move. I don't know, man. It's crazy. But yeah.
He sure made the girls scream.
Yes. Quite a bit. I would put this on par compared to like other rom-coms, like let's say Pretty Women. Oh yeah, this has the same way better than Pretty Women. Way better.
Does Pretty Woman have a foot chase? No.
Right. Well, Pretty Woman has a hooker that's transformed to be a decent woman. Okay.
And a multi-millionaire who can afford to do it.
Right. Well, this guy can't. He's an artist, okay? So he gets a woman that's kind of above his grade, if you will.
Which is a whole show in itself. Right.
It sounds like shit. It sounds like Friends. Sounds like, man, what else? You know what? This also kind of reminds me of What Women Want with Mel Gibson.
Oh.
Because throughout the movie...
Did he ever get an answer to that, by the way? I don't remember. I saw the movie, but I'm not sure that anybody ever answered the titular question.
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen What Women Want. Which explains a lot for me.
I think, from what I recall, it was more like, what does this one woman want? From me. Specifically.
Okay. So let me ask you, is it kind of like it? Because it seemed like our main guy in House of Wax, like he could hear the wax figures talk to him. He knew exactly how they wanted to be, what they wanted.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of Poe in that guy.
Right?
Yeah. Only they weren't under the floorboards. They were posed before him.
Yes. Oh, okay. So, you want to talk about this film legitly, I guess?
Can we, though?
Can we? This one's tough, but this one was your pick. So,
well,
tell me why.
let me tell you why I chose this movie. Primarily because I had it.
It was on your shelf. That's why.
It was on my shelf.
Man, I had to
And
shell
I
out money
had
for this
seen it on my shelf recently. And it's a horror movie, supposedly.
Yes,
Um,
supposedly.
so these early horror movies, or any movies really, um, I was thinking about them, how to explain to a modern audience the significance of early cinema, and the best metaphor I came up with was that they are the cave drawings of cinema. They're the equivalent of cave drawings. They're rarely, there are a handful of movies that are really good out of the early decades, but mostly they're known for being first at stuff. And and this is definitely in that category.
And I could see that. Like, you're right. Like, let's say, I know it's not as old, nowhere near, but when we did Black Christmas, that's an older film.
Yeah.
Nowhere near as old, like I said, but it was one of the first
Everything
slashers.
Everything looked derivative, except that it wasn't yet.
Right. It was the first of its kind. Well,
right.
Other than like Psycho. But if you want to talk about like, we get into splitting hairs there, the little differences. But the point is, it's one of the first of its kind, and it's really set the recipe, the playbook for future slasher films. Whereas House of Wax. True. But my thing with House of Wax is, what did it lay down as like the playbook, or what to duplicate? Exploitation, like technology, because like that's what it seems like. It's like hyped out, even on the cover. It's like 3D stereo vision. The first movie was 3D stereo vision. It's like, oh man, this looks crazy. I mean, for 1953s, it does look pretty good. But is that the movie? Is that?
It. Honest to God, I think the thing that we're so jaded these days.
Yeah.
In our horror, because we've had so much of it, and so such inventive, if you will, horror, that this simple this wouldn't even be called a horror movie today. This would be called a drama.
Yeah.
Not even a thriller, just a drama.
Yeah, I can see that. Let's see. I mean,
the whole thing was shot on a set.
Yeah.
Probably super low budget. Vincent Price, by the way, he's always awesome and creepy.
This was his breakout role, from what I understand. This is the movie that was like, okay, wait a second. That like pretty much established him as a villain. Like, he's gonna be like the villain types and all the rest of the other movies. He did a great role. I mean, a great performance. But
he did. But come on, one of the reasons why I never wanted to be a painter is I would have to wear a flowing smock like that.
Oh, but he made that look all right. Like, Vincent Price actually looked pretty good with just that with that what do you call it, floating smock, that thing?
Yeah, flowing.
I said floating.
Flowings.
Vincent Price is a legend. You're right, Matt Christie. I'm not dogging him. I will say.
By the way, you can't spell smock without mock.
I will say, I put a poll out there on the Deadman's Home Facebook page, okay, asking which is better, this one or the 2005 remake. And that was before I realized that this movie is actually a remake of a 1933 film, Mystery of the Wax Museum. So really, the question should have been, I mean, I was framing as if which one's better, the original or the remake, but it's like, no, not even this one is the original. The original is 1933. Okay. And did it use a 3D stuff? Because that wasn't around at the time. All right.
Well, I mean, I obviously wasn't 3D on my television, so
right. And that's my thing with that is that I watched a little bit of the 1933 version. It was like that one. It seemed more focused on story and dialogue, whereas this one, the 1953 one, was like more. You could tell they put a lot of attention on the set, and the sets looked great. Like that, the museum in the beginning, that looked awesome.
Yeah.
Even today, like if you look at the film, I guess technology that they had then, it looked pretty good.
It did. The street. One of the things I was noticing about the chasing around in the dark streets and alleys, they're too fucking clean.
Yes.
There wasn't even so much as a piece of paper floating down the street or the alley. There was no garbage. There was no, just grit.
Right.
It was just clean.
They could have used the dirt and grit and newspapers as like the 3D effects, because in this movie there was like various times where they purposely threw something at the camera for its like 3D-ness, so they could have used that. That could have been cool. They weren't. I guess they didn't think about that. Put some dirt in there, have it fly around.
Yeah. I mean. Let me give you a small example that just pops to mind, and I remember noting it at the time when I first saw the movie Gladiator. Mm-hmm. So there's a shot that pans over the top of this archway.
Right.
Okay. You know what's up there? Shit. There's dirt and pebbles and rocks on top of this archway that's been standing for God knows how many hundreds of years. But there's debris up there. Wasn't even necessary. Nobody would have noticed it if they hadn't done it. But it was done.
Well, yeah. With Gladiator, yeah, they'll pay in mind with that. That's Russell Crowe. I mean, they can pay some attention with that. And that's good. I like it when a movie does that, when it paid like attention to the small details. I kind of wish House of Wax did.
Have I mentioned? So I got to hear an interview with Guillermo del Toro, the director of Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah, among
others, and Pacific Rim.
Yeah,
I think.
Weird. The weird to think he directed both those films, but yeah.
I went to this because I knew the guy who was interviewing him, and plus it was Guillermo del Toro.
Right.
And he said a couple of things that really stuck with me, and one of which is relevant to the show tonight, and that is the banal makes it real.
Okay.
So let me give you an example. Godfather, in the Godfather movie, right?
Right.
In a total throwaway scene, Al Pacino's being taught how to make spaghetti sauce.
Yeah.
That's just an ordinary little thing, but it makes it feel like these are real people.
Right. And there's elements of that in this film. Man, I don't remember any of the characters' names. That's what's messing with me right now. But the blonde chick, when she's getting her corset laced or whatever, she's getting ready to go out. Like, the little details, little touches like that was kind of cool. It was.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely enjoyed that, and of course, the dialogue back then was very interesting. So it was cool. I felt like, okay, this is definitely, I'm watching something that's a product of its time, but in a good way.
Right.
It's like going back in time. It's like a time capsule,
Right. And remember, there was no rating system in these days, but there was the
code,
the Hays Code of what was permissible in any movie.
Which is interesting.
And so they had to comply with that shit too.
And they had, even with that code, they had that one the cabaret scene or whatever, that the dance scene. It's like, okay, man, they're getting risky here. All right. Which, the 1933 version's before the code. So that's what got my interest in watching that one. Like, hey, am I see a nip slip here? What's going on here? This is before the code. No, I didn't see anything that was too crazy. Like I said, that one seemed like it's more focused on story than, like, it was actually taking it like. I'm not dishing the 1953 one. I think it was focusing on a story here and there, but I think it was focusing more on the effects. They definitely made it bigger. Okay, they were really trying to use a 3D stereo vision, right? So they would purposely do things and place props to where they would use that 3D effect just so that they can use it. Okay. And there were scenes in the film that purposely used it for no reason than just to use it. Like, you remember that intermission scene? And the guy who had the little paddle ball thing? That was totally for the 3D thing. And I was like, what?
Oh, absolutely.
I was like, come on now.
Just to have that.
Yeah.
In case anybody had not personally experienced balls flying at their face.
Right? You need some balls in your face there. And there's little things too, like the fighting. They'll throw like something at the camera, throw a punch at the camera, stuff like that. So focus more on style, focus more on sound. The sound was big for its time, like very loud. Okay. But if I want to compare, I'll just probably just do one last time. But I think the 1933 version was like better acting wise, I guess. More focused on the story, less about the bells and whistles. But I'll set that aside because I feel like I'm just like beating on.
Well, they've never. Nobody has ever taken a 3D project because of the story.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, hell, we could compare this to like how 3D films are used today. The 3D technology is kind of like a gimmick, right? It's like, oh, now watch this movie now in 3D. It's like, oh, okay, really? Do I have to watch in 3D? No. Does it add anything to it? Well, maybe. I mean, okay. No. But what did you think of, I guess, the plot and the story of this one, of the 1953 version?
It was pretty predictable, I have to say, except for one twist.
Yeah.
Can I say it?
Sure.
Spoiler alert. Vincent Price doesn't die in the fire. Is that going to ruin it for people?
Oh, it totally ruined it. No, we're good. We're good.
And here's a mistake I think they made. Now, they made a big deal of him post-fire being in this wheelchair. Fine, that's a ruse. He has actually, scars on his hands from the fire. Mm-hmm. That's not a ruse. But I think they fucked up in one thing.
And I think I know what you're talking about. Okay.
The mask.
Oh, the mask.
What were you going to say?
I was going to say they fucked up by even showing the burned guy going after all these people because you knew it was going to be Vincent Price. Like, it's like, who else could it be? Like,
there's nobody else. There's nobody else in there.
right, right. It's like, come on, like, you could have just made him disappear. Like, make the people just disappear and make it seem, who is this? But even then, it'd be like, wait, who has the motive to do this? You know? I mean, if they did that, kept it more mysterious, like you didn't see who was doing all the killing, you had two possible suspects then. The artist that might have survived in the fire, and then maybe the potential buyer who wanted the investment. But he wasn't really that involved. But
nope.
So, sorry, I was gonna say that was kind of a mistake there too, because it kind of kills the mystery element and it kills the horror element, because it's like, well, now we know it's chasing everybody. It's this burn guy. You know? Oh, it's not a mystery because we know who's doing it. It's
so the thing I think they fell down with on the Vincent Price mask. All right, so is this? So they see this disfigured face for quite a while before you know that Vincent Price is back in the picture. But obviously, you know it's Vincent Price, because who else would it be?
Right.
Nobody else is running around, stealing corpses and shit. But then during the climactic struggle, the chick punches a hole in his wax face.
Yeah.
So he had, he would like just disappear, and then ta-da! I got my wax face on, and it looks like total normal.
Yeah. A wax face that moves with his lips.
Yeah.
A wax face.
Yeah.
So advanced shit
has
there.
Expressions and
yeah,
all that shit. I would have liked better if the disfigured face was the mask, because it didn't do anything.
Well, yeah, you're kind of right there. I think
Plus,
for the same reason. Yeah.
When you go to commit a fucking crime, it's best if people can't identify you.
Right. Right.
So you put on a fucking mask. You don't put a mask on when you go home. Well, I mean, we won't get into that, but it does happen.
I mean, you do for different reasons.
Yeah,
right.
Completely different reasons.
Is that why Tammy's not here tonight?
We'll have to defer that question for a later show.
A private show. All right. Okay. But yeah, I get what you're saying there. I think for some similar reasons that the mask didn't do anything. It's like, okay, well, it might as well just have been the burned face as the mask, and just have the normal face after underneath. Because the motivation's given away. Not the motivation, but he's totally given away from the very beginning. Just the first kidnapping, you're like, oh, that's Vincent Price.
That's
him.
Right. It's him.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
I feel like when that happens, and I think this movie was supposed to be more of like a thriller, but a horror, but it's supposed to be a mystery. But I kind of, honestly, look, I understand the movie's a classic, but it fails there because there is no mystery. And unless you're in the camp that believes that, well, horror's still okay if we know who's chasing you, maybe you still... I think it kind of fails as a horror too. Now I'm probably people are gonna come at me for that.
It's not scary. It's not even. I mean, it's a little creepy because Vincent Price can play a creep like nobody.
Yeah, that was great. Vincent Price's performance is great.
Yeah, everybody else is kind of phoning it in.
Yeah, I would say even. Well, the chick who played Kathy, I think Kathy, her friend. She was okay.
The one who survives, that survives, or the blonde chick who
dies. I thought she was okay. She only had a few lines, but it seemed there's little things she did in her acting that was like I took note of, like when the corset thing, whatever, was like tied in too tight for where she couldn't breathe. You could see her like struggling to breathe. It's like, okay.
Right.
Like, is that now? It did look really tight on her, so I was like, is that her acting? Or is it just really tight on her too?
Oh my God, she had like a 8-inch waist or some shit like that. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was. It like I said too earlier, it's like a time capsule, right? It takes you back to the time when the ladies would do that, because that was like I guess it was expected or whatever, is what have you. But I never really spent too much time thinking about, oh yeah, that's how they would do things. They'll have to.
Did you not? Were you not like aware that that a corset could literally make you collapse from lack of oxygen?
Well, I mean, I was aware, like, historical things, like, from history class and reading certain documents and exposed to other movies, but it's like, well, to see it more kind of like done, it seemed believable. It seemed like I was in that room.
Hold the phone.
Yeah.
Hold the phone. Jesus Christ. I did not know this so I'm clicking through IMDb. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is a flash of news that you will want to hear. The blonde chick?
Yeah.
Her real name, Carolyn Jones. Where have you heard that name before?
Morticia. Morticia.
Yeah. Morticia. The blonde chick is Morticia.
Oh, yeah, she's hotter with just dark hair.
Yeah. Well, and her scowl.
Oh, yeah.
And all as she's kind of a snack, I guess the kids say nowadays in House of Wax, but in as Morticia, she's hot as fuck.
Did you know that Charles Bronson is also in this movie?
Oh, was that him?
He was playing the
mute guy.
The mute guy. Yeah, that was him.
I kept going, God, that looks like Charles Bronson.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Okay, and here's what a stupid this. I just about spit water when he was introduced as Igor. Like, Jesus Christ. Can you not come up with an original henchman name?
No. Another reason. Oh my God! It's like, see, I was like, I'm dogpiling this movie. Another reason why I think some elements kind of, like, what were they thinking? They weren't really spending time here. They were just kind of, yeah, let's do Igor. That's a name. That's a henchman name. Okay.
Worked for Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Maybe it's a family tradition. Who knows?
Right. It's a long line of Igors.
Work for evil madmen, scientists.
Yeah, you know what? That's a good point. He was a good worker too, apparently, because even when they were about to get busted, he was still messing with the guillotine.
He was still fighting.
Yeah, the other guy, caved.
He was setting up the guillotine.
Mm-hmm.
Because if he didn't, he would have killed him too fast.
Oh, man. So, what are your thoughts about the 3D thing? Do you think it's as much of a gimmick then, or is it as it wasn't? It's as much of a gimmick now as it was then.
You know what? The best argument against 3D that I ever read was and I'm sorry if I would give credit if I could remember who it was, but it was many years ago, who said, we already see in 3D.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't need help.
Right? Oh, we need things popping at you.
Well, let me tell you one of the motivations behind this, and that is digital filmmaking. So the technologies, the software and the hardware have advanced to the point where the barrier to entry to creating a really professional looking film is fucking affordable to, large numbers of people.
Mm.
So in order, one of the things that Hollywood is fantastic at is film manufacturing. That's what I call it. The actual process of recording a movie and editing it and doing all the shit to it to get it finished.
Yeah.
Nobody does that better than Hollywood, regardless of the content. Content is irrelevant to that discussion. They make beautiful looking, beautiful sounding products, even if you don't care to see it.
Yeah, even if the content is shit, they can still make it look pretty. It's just like a pretty piece of shit. Yeah. Should do that. But even with the new Star Wars films, I mean, it looks good, but it's crap.
My point is that 3D is one of those things where they're trying to raise that barrier to entry. It's like, sure, you can make some of the Star Wars fan movies are even more interesting than
they are
full productions.
Well, man, what was
and they look great.
Oh. Yeah. There's a fan. Sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just repeating myself. So Hollywood needs to create a new rampart above their walls to keep the riffraff out, and 3D is one of those tricks that regular people can't afford to do.
So even in 1953, or were they just playing around with it then?
It was a gimmick. It was totally a thing to sell tickets. It was just a thing because people wanted to see it. It was a novelty.
Yeah.
And it probably, those gimmicks shots that they would use, like the paddleball guy and throwing sticks and spears and shit at the camera.
Yeah.
Which without 3D is like, why the fuck are you throwing it over there?
Hell, without 3D, the whole paddleball thing's like, what? This seems so weird. Like, do they do that naturally? Is that something they do?
No,
I don't think so. I don't think so. But that gimmick probably worked. It had to have worked really well because one, it was like it's credited as the first movie to use 3D like that. They used stereo vision 3D. So
it goes in waves, right?
Yeah.
You'll have a few 3D movies for a while, and they'll get some fresh attention, and then people get bored with that shit and having to wear the goddamn glasses in the theater, and then 10 years later, somebody will have some new fangled 3D bullshit.
Here's what's interesting too. According to this is, of course, I'm looking at Wikipedia, so maybe this editor chat can help me here. Maybe you can help me here too, SK. Now it's described as the first color 3D feature. Now I understand there's a black and white version, and I would think the black and white version came before, but it looks like, according to this, it was color in 3D in theaters when it came out. But then it was also re-released in 1971 in 3D with full advertising behind it. So it's like, wait.
What year was the re-release? 71?
The re-release was in 1971. But even before that, in 1953, it was still, it's described as first color 3D horror film.
Yeah, so 53, you still had to, just a film being in color was noteworthy.
Mm-hmm.
Color had been around a long time, but it was fucking expensive, and it was fucking difficult to light. Because it took a lot more work to film in color because it had to look good. You couldn't run it through your, Apple MacBook and clean it up. What you got on the image was kind of it. I mean, there's a little bit of post-processing shit they can do with it, but it's not a ton. And so, black and white was still heavily used in the 50s and even into the 60s because it was cheaper and faster to film, to shoot. And so when a movie was in color, that was kind of noteworthy. Um, one of the earliest, let me look this up.
Okay.
1 second.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's why. I think the fact that it was one of the first color 3D films is why it's not in public domain. One, it's actually
they're still selling discs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think with 2014, the film was deemed culturally and historically, aesthetically significant by the Library of Congress. It was selected for preservation in the National Film Registry. I think it's because not of the story, not really of the acting. Vincent Price did great though. I have to just throw that in there because he did a great job. But I think it really got that because of the use of technology.
You absolutely see where his talents are heading in this movie. I mean, he can play the charmer, and he can play the creeper, and he can play the dangerous guy. So he's great for these kinds of roles.
Right.
I mean, unmatched for a long, long time.
Oh,
Maybe ever. Who knows?
Maybe.
Well, there's some of those English guys.
Well, they already sound evil, so.
Christopher Lee.
Yeah. So, I think overall, I would, I don't know, if I were to rewatch this movie again, I would, man, I think I would actually sit down and watch the 1933 version. If I was going to watch another version of this.
Yeah.
I've seen this. If I was going to watch it again, maybe in 3D to see what that was like. But then it's like, then I'll just put on 3D glasses. It's like, okay, it's not a, I can't judge it. It's hard to say, man, I can't judge it based on today, right? I can't do that. That's not right. For when it came out, it was great. It was groundbreaking.
Right. It really was. And it was, very disturbing for the time. All right. Yeah. So let's not, diminish that, the impact it had for the day, because, this is creepy shit we're talking about.
Oh,
right.
Right. Even the scene where the wax figures are melting, that shit looked pretty creepy.
Where have we seen that since then? Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
That's exactly how they did that melting face effect. Wax faces.
Huh.
Which I guarantee you, came from this movie.
So if we haven't had this movie, we wouldn't have gotten Indiana Jones.
Well, yeah.
Shit, this is good. But this is a timeless classic.
The island scene would have been much different.
Mm-hmm. Oh, shit. I know, Chad. I know I was struggling with this. I don't want to be too mean. I don't want to be mean. Its time it came out was great.
You understand that when this movie came out, these monster and horror movies that look so sad to us today,
right?
Were really scary because we didn't have all this shit we have now.
Correct.
People weren't inured to it.
Mm-hmm.
People, we weren't used to seeing, not every movie you get to see somebody stealing a body from the morgue. That's a pretty small niche.
Right.
And, mummifying bodies in wax and shit like that. This was quite more disturbing in the day than would be today. Today, you watch it and you go, well, this is not even tense.
Right. And there's one part where it's kind of silly, the chase scene when he's chasing
through the streets.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if they'd had cars, it would have been like Bullet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was so close to that,
Yeah.
he said sarcastically.
But no, it was drawn out. I was like, but I guess for the time it was good. I'm talking
Well,
about the chase scene.
There was some kind of shitty editing in parts when you weren't sure. There was at least one part where she kind of hides in the shadows, and he goes along a wall that you think is that same wall, and she's not there.
Right. You're right.
And then she pops out, somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, what the hell? That looked like the exact same spot she was at, which it absolutely could have been. It's not like they had miles of alleyways to shoot against.
Oh, and then there's other things around that same scene. When the guy goes out and is blowing the whistle for the police, and they add in the dialogue to explain what he's doing for those who don't know what he's doing. Even when I was watching it, I literally watched it like the other day. But I knew, he's calling for the police. And there's like, oh, there was an officer on the street corner. Yeah, that's why I'm blowing the whistle. It's like, okay, thank you for telling me. I already kind of figured that one out. Okay. It's silly stuff like that. It's like, okay, well, okay. But I mean, but at the same time, people do kind of talk like that. Someone's always there, be like, "Oh, there's an officer right there." Whenever in a situation where like you're calling for help, someone's like, "Oh, are you calling the police? What do you think I'm doing? I'm calling the police right now." Jesus.
Not
So,
getting a fucking pizza.
Yeah, right.
Well, although that does sound good, but
Yeah.
let's finish the one call first.
Right. So I can't be too mad about that. That was okay.
Yeah, script writing dialogue still was, growing. Oh hell, it's uneven even to this day.
Yeah, I think it's gotten worse. But there's parts in this movie where the dialogue seemed pretty good. Vincent Price, any scene he's in, sounds great. Obviously there was lines where you're kind of he had to explain what was going on through dialogue. The trick is like, how do you do that without it seeming too much exposition and seem natural? I think.
Well,
I think
you do what James Cameron did, and you put your exposition in a car chase.
Right. You do that.
I mean, honest to God, I like to give Cameron a lot of shit, but that was brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
That was a game changer. All that exposition from Terminator, Kyle Reese had to give to what's her name, Sarah Connor. He just had a fucking car chase while he was talking.
Right, and that's a good way to do it.
It's fantastic. One of the things that I hate more than anything, which is saying a lot, by the way, about movies and TV shows, is I hate the ones where you have a group of people standing around or sitting around and they're talking, and then they break up, and each of those people goes to another place with different people, and they're standing around, sitting around, talking, and then those people, and then it's just a bunch of, the action is watching people walk to the other group that they're going to talk to.
Oh, it sounds like sounds like the whole series of Mad Men. Oh, that is talking.
Well, most of it was in meetings, though, right?
Yeah, and okay, but I
mean, could you not have them do some fucking thing besides just sitting around talking?
But that's why I like what they did with this movie, because they did a lot of dialogue, definitely in the beginning. There's a lot of dialogue throughout, but especially in the beginning when you're explaining what's going on, he's moving around with the clay. He's kind of messing with it, seeming like, okay, he's an artist. We get that. He's messing with it. He's washing his hands while he's talking. He's doing little things. That's important. And you even have like he's going through the exhibit, showing his love for his creations and all that. And okay, you believe that this guy is an artist. Okay, and then you have the businessman comes back down and explains his motive, what's going to happen here. But he's also
I'm gonna burn it down.
Starts burning it down
Oh.
as he starts talking. I was like, oh, okay, you're just giving away your plan. But he's just giving away his plan and he's doing it. It's like, well,
Right.
okay.
Like, this is well thought out.
Right?
Vincent Price goes, hey, I got a guy interested in buying. And the businessman goes, fuck that. I'm going to burn it to the ground. Right the hell now while you're here.
Right. I mean, that businessman was not very bright. Let's put it that way. He gave away his plan for insurance fraud, which they give away his plan for that right way. So the only way that would go through is if
Vincent Price died.
Yeah, that's the only way. But he wasn't trying to kill him, really.
It was just trying to keep him in the building so he would burn up.
Right.
Something the Clintons might try.
Vincent Price didn't kill himself. Oh, shit. There'll be a suicide note right there. Not fun here. There's bugs in food. Oh, shit. Oh, man. But, yeah, I think overall I would watch this movie again. I think I would. I enjoyed it. I know I said that, like, if it was my list of movies to rewatch, it's not going to be my top pick. But I do appreciate it. I think actually talking with you, SK, and going through this, I kind of got a new, appreciation for it. So that definitely helps.
Well, I mean, to the extent that that's possible, right? I mean, it was pretty groundbreaking. And so I find so many classic movies are known for being groundbreaking and not necessarily for being actually that fun to watch.
Yeah. I mean,
that's how you define classic. Boring, but groundbreaking.
That's unfortunate at times. And Matt Christie, I forgot to bring this up, but had a good point. 3D might have been a novelty at the time, but it led to newer technology, which eventually VR. The link between 3D and VR, I'm not exactly sure. But other than we're testing out new stuff, new ways to entertain, new ways to dazzle people, and VR is definitely the next frontier.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of science behind why 3D works and how it works, and how a bunch of different ways to achieve the effect. And the dream is to have a realistic 3D image that doesn't require any kind of visual aid.
Yeah. That's the thing that throws you out. I don't wear these glasses. No, I don't want to wear these glasses. Right. That takes you out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus, then, who else is wearing those glasses?
Right.
They may be in a baggie, but nobody believes they did anything to clean them up. Jesus.
Hell, even more, they ask you to recycle them. I never do. I just keep them.
Oh.
I don't even bother.
Too many psoriasis lawsuits against the theaters, maybe.
Oh, man. Now, as I mentioned before, we did a poll on the Deadman Stone page.
Did we?
We did. Only had a few votes for it. Comparing this one, the 1953 House of Wax, and the 2005, which is kind of loosely... It's not even really based on it. It's just using the name alone, kind of. I think the premise is way different. It's been a while since I've seen the 2005 House of Wax, but I just remember Paris Hilton being in it and dying.
Could we just run clips of that for like an hour and a half?
Yeah. Let me see if I could have sworn to save a clip of that. Where are you? Well, that would be unfortunate if I don't have it. Pull it up. Shit. You know what? I might not have it. Son of a bitch. No, I got something. Hold on. Give me a minute. I'll find it here. But yeah. Oh, here's what I have. Oh, it isn't her dying. This is just her. This is her taking her clothes off. Sorry. I'm sorry. Of course, I would save that one. Yeah, that kind of made House. Well, you didn't have to watch the 2005 House of Wax for this.
I didn't,
She has her sex
and
tape.
I haven't.
I mean, if you really want to see
What?
Paris Hilton naked, you could just there's a sex tape of her out there. It's like a night vision,
Yeah.
but there's that. But no, there is a scene where she's dying.
That's a really, Mount Rushmore size if.
Yes. Yeah. But it won. Apparently, I guess people like the 2005 one better. I think because it's probably Paris Hilton dying. I think that's what sells it there. You can either use 3D as a gimmick, or you can use a celebrity that people don't like. She's famous for the wrong reasons, and she dies.
Gosh, what a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
No wonder Streep turned it down.
Right. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this, press the like button, share, and subscribe. If you listen to iTunes, feel free to rate it. Leave some stars. Leave a comment down below.
Give us lots of clicky clicks.
Yeah, it's good, man. Share with someone. But like, hey, I don't mind you sharing. Be like, hey, this asshole totally hated House of Wax, the original. He calls himself a horror guy. We should go after him. That'd be cool.
Bring on the purists.
Come on, yeah, bring them on. But what movie do you want to do next? You got any ideas?
Ooh. Have we done Amityville?
We haven't. Ooh,
Any of those?
we haven't, and I know Tammy G would like that. She would be into that.
All right, let's do some, because about a year ago we did a Real Monsters episode about the real killing that supposedly haunted that house.
Mm-hmm.
So
I did.
That'd be fun.
Oh, we even had the author Ray Garton, he actually worked with that family to write their sort of documentary kind of sort of thing. Oh, but he had
Yeah.
He had stuff to say. I remember him like kind of exposing that family, like, oh man, they're frauds. They're trying to give me the right shit I didn't want to write. That was good. That was interesting. But yeah, we could do that next. That'd be cool. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you enjoyed this. Share, like, subscribe. You guys take it easy.